to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where your night gently softens and a quiet tale carries you toward rest. Tonight, you are invited onto a cozy tram that glides through the old streets of Vienna, where warm windows glow against the cool night and time itself seems to slow down and sigh. Take a slow breath in and a long, easy breath out. Let your shoulders soften, as if they are unhooking from the day. The world around you can pause for a while. Nothing is needed from you now. There is nowhere else you must go. Nothing else you must do. You are simply here, listening, breathing, and gradually settling into the tender embrace of night. Imagine yourself in a gentle dimness, the kind of soft evening light that asks nothing at all. With every breath in, your body grows a little heavier, a little more at ease. With every breath out, the residue of the day drifts away like snow melting into a quiet street. Feel your jaw unclench, your hands loosening, your brow smoothing. If thoughts arrive, let them pass through like passengers at a distant station, stepping on and off without disturbing you. Ahead, in the calm of your imagination, a tram bell rings, a delicate chime that neither startles nor rushes you. You see the faint outline of a vintage tram waiting beneath golden street lamps, its windows glowing with a gentle amber light. The air holds a hint of winter, cool and crisp, but the promise of warmth waits just beyond the open door. You take another slow breath, and as you exhale, the day recedes like the closing of a book. The story and the night are ready to begin. On this night in old Vienna, a tram waits at the edge of a quiet square. Its paint is a soft cream, lined with deep red, worn smooth by decades of careful hands and gentle journeys. The tram hums faintly where it rests, a low and steady purr, like a cat curled beside a hearth. Above, the sky is a velvet blue, deepening toward midnight, brushed with a faint silver mist that hangs over the rooftops. The city is not loud tonight. Vienna breathes in a slow, unhurried rhythm. Snowfall from earlier in the evening has settled along the cobblestones, packing them with a thin, powdery softness that muffles footsteps and softens every sound. Street lamps cast halos of warm light onto the snow, turning the square into a quiet stage where only a few players move, carefully, gently, as if they do not want to disturb the elegance of the night. Inside the tram, the air is warm and faintly scented with wood varnish, old leather, and a trace of sweet pastry someone brought on board earlier. Polished brass handrails gleam dully in the dim overhead lamps, and the wooden bench seats hold the memory of many travelers. The windows fog at the edges, where the warmth meets the winter air outside, forming delicate clouds that slowly fade and bloom again as the doors open and close. A conductor stands near the entrance, an older man with kind eyes and a wool scarf wrapped neatly at his throat. He moves with the unhurried grace of someone who has spent many years moving at the speed of a tram's steady glide. His voice is soft when he calls out the route, the words carrying a familiar music that has accompanied countless evenings. Tonight his tram will follow a loop through old Vienna along the ring of stately buildings and hidden streets, past quiet cafes and sleepy squares, over bridges, and beside the slow, dark river. A small group of passengers has already settled into their chosen places. A woman with a wool hat pulled low over her brow looks out the window with a faint smile, her gloved hands wrapped around a paper cup of steaming tea. An elderly couple sit close together on a bench, their shoulders gently touching, a shared blanket draped over their knees. A young man with a worn backpack cradles a book in his lap but does not read. He simply rests his gaze on the moving reflections of light in the window. At the back, near the corner where the lights are slightly dimmer, a traveler sits alone, wrapped in a long coat. They do not feel lonely. The tram itself is a companion, the hum beneath their feet, a reassuring presence. Outside, the night is crisp and cool. Inside, the air wraps around them like a quiet conversation, familiar yet unspoken. The conductor glances at his pocket watch, a silver piece polished bright from years of use. He nods to himself and, with a gentle pull on the cord, signals that it is time to depart. The tram bell rings again, a soft, chiming note that floats out into the square. The doors close with a smooth, muted thump, and the tram begins to move, gliding forward as if slipping into a dream. The square falls away behind them, and the tram enters a narrow street lined with old buildings. Their facades are painted in pale colors that glow softly beneath the lamps. Muted yellows, gentle creams, and quiet greens. Many windows are lit from within, revealing glimpses of lives winding down for the night. Someone draws heavy curtains. Someone carries a stack of books. Someone waters a small plant on a windowsill. The scenes flicker by, gentle and unhurried, like scenes in an old film projected at half speed. As the tram rolls along the tracks, the sound is steady and soothing. The gentle clicking and humming, the faint sway of the car as it leans into curves. Every movement is smooth and measured, as if the tram understands that tonight its purpose is not to rush, but to cradle its passengers. In calm, the traveler in the back watches the city drift past. Their eyes grow soft, lids a little heavier with each passing block. It is easy for them to breathe here. They inhale the warm air, tinged with the faintest trace of roasted coffee from a cafe they have just passed, and exhale the day's worries. Those worries feel far away now, like a distant station already left behind. Thoughts slow, becoming less like tangled strings and more like lazy, drifting snowflakes. The tram approaches a grand boulevard, the Ringstrasse, where the buildings stand tall and stately, adorned with elegant stone columns and intricate balconies. Here, old Vienna wears its finest coat. The tram glides past the opera house, its grand facade bathed in golden light. The statues and carved figures high above seem to be watching over the quiet street, guarding the peace of the night. In one upper window, a pair of shadows dance slowly, perhaps rehearsing a waltz, their movements barely visible through lace curtains. At the next stop, the doors open with a soft sigh, letting a breath of winter air slip inside. A few snowflakes drift onto the floor and melt almost at once. A new passenger steps on, a woman with a violin case slung over her shoulder. Her cheeks are pink from the cold, and her scarf is wrapped snugly around her neck. She nods to the conductor, who returns the gesture with a small smile. She finds a seat near the center, resting her violin case carefully beside her, and closes her eyes, listening to the tram's gentle song. The tram continues, circling past the grand museum buildings, facing one another across a broad, snowy square. Statues of composers and poets rest on their pedestals, cloaked in a thin shimmer of snow, their stone faces softened by the night. Trees line the paths, their branches bare and delicate against the sky, edged in silver. The lamps along the paths cast light that falls like spilled honey across the snow, thick and warm, even in the cold. Inside the tram, the warmth deepens. The overhead lamps glow softly, not bright enough to disturb the eyes, just enough to outline faces, hands, and the polished wooden seats. The conductor moves slowly down the aisle, checking tickets with a practiced, almost meditative rhythm. He pauses near the traveler in the back, exchanging a brief, kind glance as if to say, "You are safe here this night. You can rest." Near the front, the elderly couple lean their heads together, whispering. They are remembering evenings long ago when they first rode this very tram after concerts, their hands tentative in the winter air. Now, their fingers are twined together with the calm certainty of years. The woman's shawl smells faintly of lavender, a soft, soothing fragrance that mixes with the warm scents of wool and wood. As the tram approaches the river, the city's sounds grow softer still. The tracks trace a gentle curve that leads toward a bridge, and beyond it, the slow dark ribbon of the Danube glides through the night. The tram slows just slightly, as if reluctant to hurry past this quiet stretch. Out the windows, the water reflects the street lights as elongated stripes of gold, wavering gently with each subtle movement of the current. The traveler's eyes rest on the reflections, watching them stretch and sway. For a moment, it seems as though the tram is no longer bound to tracks at all, but is floating upon the river itself, drifting downstream on a smooth, silent current. The boundary between tram and water, street and river, feels as soft as the fog that sometimes curled along these banks in early mornings long ago. On the far bank, trees form a dark outline, their branches etched against the sky. Somewhere within that darkness, an owl calls once, its voice low and distant. The sound reaches the tram as a faint echo, the kind of sound that reassures rather than startles, a reminder that life continues quietly in the hidden corners of the night. The bridge passes beneath them, and the tram turns again toward the heart of old Vienna. Now the streets grow narrower, the buildings older, leaning toward one another with the intimacy of centuries shared. Wrought iron balconies curve gracefully above doorways, and lanterns hang from ornate brackets, their glass panes misted with the chill. Some streets are so narrow that the tram seems to slip through them like a soft whisper. The conductor announces the next stop in his calm, melodic voice. Few passengers rise. Most are content to remain aboard, letting the tram carry them on, lulled by its steady pace. The violinist opens her eyes and gazes out at a small square lined with cafes whose chairs are stacked neatly for the night. Above one cafe, a sign creaks softly as it sways in the faint breeze, the painted letters spelling a name that has burned its way into local memory over the years. Once, long ago, the conductor used to meet friends there after his shift, laughing over hot chocolate and pastries thick with cream. Now he simply watches as the square passes by, feeling the warmth of those memories like a shawl drawn over his shoulders. The past is not gone. It rides with them, woven into the varnished wood and the worn leather straps, into the familiar turns of the route that he could navigate with his eyes closed. The tram rings its bell, a gentle reminder that it is still here, still gliding along the tracks, companion to all these quiet moments. Snow begins to fall again outside, tiny flakes drifting down from the dark sky. They catch in the lamplight, tumbling softly, lazily, as if reluctant to land. When they do, they join the soft blanket already laid across rooftops and balconies, across statues and benches, across the silent city. Inside the tram, the passengers grow even more relaxed. The traveler in the back lets their eyes close halfway, then more until the world is seen only through a soft blur. Yet every sensation is clear. The gentle rocking of the tram, the low murmur of the motor, the occasional faint creak of wood adjusting to the cold. Somewhere a quiet cough, a soft rustle of a page as the young man with the book finally reads a line or two, then lets the book fall closed in his lap. The tram turns toward the old market district where stalls now stand empty, their counters scrubbed clean, their awnings furled against the winter night. During the day, this place throngs with life, with voices and colors and scents. Now it rests. The wooden stalls look almost like sleeping animals curled up beneath the falling snow. Above them, strings of small lights remain illuminated, twinkling gently like stars that have come down to live among the rooftops. A light mist begins to form along the street, blurring the edges of the world. Lamps appear as halos, buildings as soft silhouettes. The tram's headlights cut through the haze in gentle beams, clearing just enough space ahead to move forward. The conductor, in his long years of travel, has seen many nights like this. To him, the mist feels like a familiar friend, wrapping the city in a soft veil, protecting it from hurry and noise. The traveler imagines that beyond the mist, the city might stretch into something more than streets and squares, into dreams and memories, into places that are not on any map. Tonight, the tram seems willing to carry them along that boundary where reality and dream gently overlap. It is not a sharp line, but a wide, soft field, like snow that has fallen undisturbed. The route begins to curve back toward the center, tracing a path among familiar landmarks that now seem slightly altered by the soft snow and the deeper night. The buildings look less like stone and more like folded paper, delicate and carefully made. The statues seem almost alive, their expressions softened, their gazes turned inward as though they too are dreaming. Inside the tram, the conductor dims the lights just a little more. The warm glow becomes even softer, and shadows slip into the corners like friendly cats. The passengers shift in their seats, finding more comfortable positions, their movements slow and unhurried. Scarves loosen, eyes close, breaths deepen. The traveler's thoughts grow drowsy, unspooling in gentle loops that go nowhere in particular. They remember small details from earlier in the day, but those details now feel far away, as if belonging to another life entirely. Here there is only the tram, the night, the faint reflection of lights sliding along the windows, and the quiet reassurance of motion. The tram traces the edge of the square and continues on. Its windows are now faintly misted, the glass holding a trace of breath and warmth. Passengers' reflections appear there, soft and transparent, overlapping with the city's passing lights. It becomes difficult to tell where interior ends and exterior begins, where the face of a sleeping passenger blends into the reflection of a quiet doorway outside. The conductor pauses near the center of the tram and looks along the aisle. He sees the elderly couple dozing together, the young man with the book tilting his head back against the seat, the violinist cradling her case, the traveler resting deeply in the back. A small smile touches his face. Nights like this feel almost sacred to him, a gentle duty carried out with careful attention. His tram is more than a vehicle. It is a cradle for the city's dreams. Slowly, the route begins to close in on itself, circling back toward the square where the journey began. Yet there is no sense of hurry, no abruptness. The tram simply continues to glide, each block blending into the next, each scene softly overlapping. Time stretches and relaxes. Minutes lose their edges and become like warm pools in which awareness can drift. Outside, the snow falls more thickly now, though the flakes remain light and slow. They gather on the tram's roof, on its steps, on the overhead lines that feed it power. The electric hum continues, steady and unwavering, a gentle lullaby. Buildings grow familiar again. The cafe with the creaking sign, the narrow street with the ornate balconies, the corner where a lamppost leans slightly to one side as though listening in on the city's secrets. The tram has been here before, and yet the night makes everything feel new and softly enchanted. At last, the tram glides once more toward the quiet square where it first waited beneath the street lamps. The conductor does not fully stop the car right away. Instead, there is a slow easing of speed, as though the tram itself is reluctant to let go of this peaceful circuit. Only when it reaches its exact place along the platform does it come to rest, the hum softening, the movement settling into stillness. For a moment, the conductor does not announce the arrival. He allows the silence to deepen, to stretch. The passengers rest in this pause, this gentle, weightless moment between motion and stillness. Outside, the snow continues to fall, laying ever so softly against the glass. The doors open with their familiar sigh, letting in a small breath of cold air that curls along the floor. The traveler stirs but does not fully wake. They sit in the back, wrapped in the comfort of the tram and the night, held in a space where waking and dreaming meet and mingle. The city is all around them, protective and calm, its centuries folded like layers of a warm blanket. One by one, the passengers rise and step off. The elderly couple move slowly, steadying one another. The young man with the book breathes deeply as he exits, his thoughts as unhurried as the snow. The violinist lifts her case and gives a small, grateful nod to the conductor, who returns it with warmth in his eyes. They all disappear into the soft-lit streets, swallowed by the night's gentle hush. The traveler remains seated, their breathing slow and deep, their body heavy with the sweetness of rest. The conductor, recognizing the depth of their quiet, chooses not to disturb them. Instead, he walks to the front, dims the lights a little more, and settles onto his own small seat. For a while, he too closes his eyes, listening to the distant murmur of the city, to the faint whisper of snow on glass. The tram rests in the square, but it is not entirely still. Inside, the air continues to wrap gently around the sleeping traveler. The last of the warmth from departed passengers lingers like a memory, a kindness left behind. The overhead lamps glow with a delicate softness, no longer asking to be noticed, simply existing as a gentle presence. Outside, Vienna dreams. The buildings hold their quiet stories in the lines of their stone and plaster. The statues keep their silent vigil. The river flows on, unbothered and eternal, a dark ribbon shifting slowly beneath bridges dusted with snow. Far above, clouds drift across the sky, and beyond them, unseen but always there, stars shine steadily. Inside the tram, the traveler begins to drift deeper still, slipping past the edge of conscious thought into the wide, peaceful space beyond. Their breath is slow and calm. Their muscles are loose and easy. Their thoughts, if they appear at all, are like distant bells, gentle and far away. The tram, this humble carriage of wood and steel and light, has become a cocoon. Time pools softly within it, unmeasured and kind. There is no need for destinations here, no need for timetables or schedules. The journey has already been taken. The route has already been traveled. What remains is only rest, only drifting, only the quiet, reassuring sense of being carried. The city's night grows deeper outside, but inside, the tram holds a steady, warming glow. The traveler's breathing becomes even softer, even slower, as if synchronized with the gentle rhythms of the sleeping streets. The conductor sits quietly at the front, eyes half closed, letting his mind float along old, remembered routes. Soon, even the faint hum of the tram's machinery fades into the background of the night. Silence settles like a soft cloak, wrapping everything in its gentle folds. The traveler is safe. The journey has ended, but the calm it brought remains, filling every corner of their being. In this warm stillness, surrounded by old Vienna's dreaming streets and the silent fall of snow, the tram keeps watch. It holds the sleeper as carefully as a hand holds a fragile keepsake, as gently as a lullaby holds each note. The night stretches on, quiet and deep. Breaths deepen, thoughts drift farther away, and rest moves closer, like a soft, heavy blanket drawn up to the chin. In the cozy tram through old Vienna, sleep arrives not all at once, but in slow, tender waves, carrying the traveler out across a calm, endless sea of dreams. And so the tram rests, the city rests, and the traveler rests, wrapped in warmth and silence, carried gently through the night. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.